Hello and assalamu alaikum everyone. I am Kashif Kamran and welcome to the AAA pre-March 2025 mock debrief. The mock is published by ACCA on the 7th of Feb 2025 and you can access the mock on the ACCA practice platform under the practice exam. Now, the interesting part with this March 25 mock published by ACCA is that it is the same mock ACCA published for the September 2024 exam sitting. Now, I have already done my mock debrief for September 2024, and considering that the March 2025 mock is similar to the September 2024 mock exam, so students can utilize my September 2024 mock debrief as a mock debrief for March 2025 mock. Now, when you will look at my mock debrief for March 2025 exams, because it relates from the September 24 mock, so you might listen or hear me saying September 24, and you might get a bit surprised with that. So don't get distracted with that. I'm already making it very clear that the September 24 mock debrief is to be used for March 25 mock because both the mock exams are the same. So you will utilize my September 24 mock debrief, and that consists of 4 videos. The first video would be the overview of the mock, followed by a video on question number 1 debrief, then a question number 2 debrief, and a question number 3 debrief. So you will gain all the insights, all the analysis about what to do, how to do, the marking schemes, and all the tips and techniques I have shared in that particular September 24 mock debrief, which is now to be used for March 2025 mock debrief. So all of you, please take time out, do your mock exams, and submit to your tutor for review, and enjoy the 4 videos to follow this particular intro. All the best to all of you. Hello and assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to the question 2 debrief from the September 24 mock for advanced audit and assurance. Now let's investigate the question number 2. Let's see what was specifically asked in the question number 2, and was there something unusual where I should be emphasizing upon. Now, in terms of the question 2 of the pre-September 24 mock released by ACCA, there were 3 requirements for the question number 2, A, B, C. And the first requirement was just testing the knowledge coming out of the ISQM1. This is much in line with the June 24 mock, where there was a similar question in that mock as well, which tested knowledge from ISQM1. I've already emphasized in my June 24 webinars, if you have watched them, that because this area is relatively new, and this is an area which has been explored by the examining team, the student should be very well versed with the reading of the technical article ISQM1 and 2, and they must have watched my lectures on that as well, because you should have good knowledge, not just for a case study question on quality management, which comes very oftenly, but even the examining team can test you for 6 to 8 marks around knowledge, not just of ISQM1, but also of ISQM2, and I greatly emphasized on that in my June 24 webinar. So please be focused on that. Now, the first requirement is just simply asking you that discuss how the requirements of ISQM1 should improve audit quality and help restore public trust in the profession. Which of the requirements of ISQM1? There is a system of quality management within ISQM1, and that system of quality management almost have 8 components. Examining team is not asking for everything out of it. They're just asking for 2 specific areas of ISQM1, which has been given below. Number 1 is acceptance and continuation of the client engagements, how this particular area from within the ISQM1 will improve the audit quality and restore public confidence in the profession. Number two is firm-wide culture. How firm-wide culture and the system of quality management as absolute would ensure that the public confidence is restored in the profession and help boost the quality of the audit. You had 6 marks for that, and the examining team is giving you a note number. You need not to refer to an exhibit when answering this requirement. So the examining team is telling you this is just a knowledge-based question, no exhibit readings. Just bring your ISQM1 knowledge and answer this 6 marks requirement, how acceptance and continuation and how the firm-wide culture would help boost the audit quality and at the end of the day, restore public confidence in the audit profession. You have 6 marks, so if you even write 3 points for acceptance and continuation and you write 3 points for firm-wide culture, you're making up your 6 marks answer. So this is knowledge, right? And it's just giving you a mindset that knowledge can come in the AAA paper for few marks, primarily around the articles which are recently published. ISQM 1 and 2 are not very recent articles, but again, this is an area which has been explored a lot since September 22 exams, so you should be vigilant about it. Then in the B and C requirement, we have typical questions around forensic. We know block 4 in my syllabus, which is basically the other assignments or syllabus area F. From syllabus area F, we do get questions around other assignments, even forensic, focusing on procedures or ethical and professional matters when you are accepting an engagement. And that's the case with B and C. The B requirement is asking you, using the information in exhibit number 1. So we're only using the exhibit number 1 for the part number B. Evaluate the professional and ethical matters which should be considered before SOBA and company accepts the forensic investigation. So what sort of ethical and professional matters you will be considering before you accept this engagement? And the word is evaluate. So you need to give a conclusion as well, that are you accepting it or not? So be very careful about this word, evaluate. So evaluate will give you professional marks if you give a sound conclusion with a sound judgment that whether we are accepting it or whether we are not. So you can have different conclusions. One student can say we are accepting it, but you need to justify why. And the other student can say we are not accepting it, but you need to give your justification. There is no right and wrong answer, but what the examining team is looking for at the end of the day is your underlying justification, because that will demonstrate your judgment and that will help you fetch your professional skill marks. Professional and ethical matters, you're very sound of that. That's an area which comes so many times in the AAA paper. And this is an area which is like practice management, accepting an engagement. Then in the C requirement, it says using the exhibit 2. So this time you have to use the second exhibit, assuming that SOBA and company accepts the engagement. So in the second part, we are assuming we have accepted the engagement, recommend the investigation procedures. We know that has been the case with forensic, examining team asking you to write the investigation procedures, which should be performed in relation to the matters identified by the financial controller in the exhibit number 2 for 6 marks. So you need to write just 6 audit procedures around the methods which are given to you in the exhibit number 2. And in the B requirement, you need to consider the ethical and professional matters. You have 8 marks. Matters you should consider before accepting engagement. So you need to write a total of 8 matters, which can include actions or safeguards, because when you're writing the ethical matter, you need to write a safeguard with that as well. So that is 8 marks. So 1 mark, whatever you do in the requirement A, B, and C. So let's go to the practice platform. Let's just have a quick scan of the exhibits, and then let's see a script 1 and a script 2 of the student answers to evaluate what was done right and wrong, so you gain confidence. Okay, you can now see the screen in front of you, which is basically the practice platform where you can see the question number 2 on your screens now. We were just discussing about Soba and Company, and we have two situations given to Soba and Company. One is about Udon Company. And in the case of the Udon Company, because that's the exhibit number 1, so we need to consider the ethical and professional matters before accepting the forensic investigation. And Remen & Company is exhibit 2. So in Remen & Company, we need to make 6 procedures around the matters given in the exhibit number 2. It's been very clearly given for Udon. Udon is a corporate finance client of Soba, but not an audit client. So it's not an audit client of your firm. So if you are accepting anything from Udon, you need to take a good knowledge of the business, because Udon is not an audit client, even though you're providing them the corporate finance services. So that is just like a consultancy service. So probably you need to do a more thorough due diligence or a more thorough know your client procedures, helping you to take on Udon as your forensic investigation client. In the second case, Remen, it's very clearly written, Remen Company is not an existing client of your firm. But in the case of Remen, we're just making procedures, so we're not worried about it. We are not accepting Remen. We are assuming we have already accepted Remen, and we're making procedure. But we're more concerned about Udon because we're accepting Udon engagement, and it's not an existing client of our firm. So we need to be a bit watchful on that side. Okay, we've already covered the requirements. So we'll just quickly go through the exhibit number 1, which is about the Udon Company, and we need to evaluate the ethical and professional matters which should be considered in deciding whether we are offering forensic investigation service to this client or not. So I'll just open up my word processor, and in this word processor, we'll just quickly copy paste anything of relevance we came across from the exhibit number 1. So we'll just keep one screen on one side, and we'll keep this here, and then just copying the requirements because that's what we need. So using the exhibit number 1, Control C, and I just bring my requirements on the word processor. So evaluate the professional and ethical matters which should be considered before accepting this engagement. Control C, and I'll just bring it down here, Control V. That's what we are considering. So that is basically the requirement number B. I'll be coming to the A requirement later, but let's first go down with B and C being the more critical requirements connecting with exhibits. A is just the knowledge part. So we'll just brush over that quickly. So professional and ethical matters is what we are considering. In the exam, when you copy the question for your own understanding, you should delete the question from the word processor later. So I'll just be deleting this. I'm just copying it here to remember something. I need to evaluate, so I need to give a conclusion at the end of the day for the B requirement. Conclusion, that is important. Professional and ethical matters, okay, I'll consider that from the exhibit number 1, including any necessary safeguards. So professional and ethical matters and safeguards. So that's what the examining team is asking for me. And we have just 8 marks for it. I'll delete the marks after I write the answer, and I'm just deleting off the question. I don't need the question anymore because I've already set my answer. Okay, now just copy pasting from the relevant exhibit. So the relevant exhibit tells us that Soba and Company Specialist Forensic Department carries out a wide range of forensic engagements and investigations, including commercial disputes, negligence cases, and insurance claims. So it seems that Soba and Company is very well versed with competence. They have good competence because they have a forensic department, and they're offering range of forensic investigations. They're carrying out commercial dispute, negligence cases, and even insurance claim, and that's what Udon wants from us. So I think this is a very favorable point, because when we are evaluating the professional and ethical matters, this is part of our professional matter that we do have competence to take on this engagement, and that's case specific. So I copy this, I'll put it down here, and this will help me down with my point of competence. I need to rephrase it, but this is some sort of a competence I have in place already. So at least competence is not my limiting factor. Okay, you move on to the next point. Just let me highlight this point to ensure we have taken on this point. And we've covered this point. Okay, the next line. Udon is a fashion designer and a manufacturer with fast-moving industry. Definitely, when you are dealing with the fashion inventory, it's very fast-moving and gets obsolete too quickly. In line with seasonal clothing sales. So you're offering seasonal clothing sales like summer and winter, and they go obsolete very quickly. 2 months ago, so that's important. Let's see what happened 2 months ago. So wherever we are standing today, 2 months ago from this point, let's see what happened. One of Udon's largest distribution center suffered a severe flood, destroying the entire inventory. Now, the entire inventory was destroyed. So that means this is a potential loss for the organization. They have lost their entire inventory of the fashion clothing. Now, we have no idea whether this inventory was for the for any upcoming fashion line to be launched in the next few months, or that was about some existing fashion lines which were already going in, but they've lost the entire inventory at one of their largest distribution centers. The company has comprehensive insurance, and insurance company has already agreed a settlement with Udon for the damage of the building. So already the insurance company has agreed to give you the insurance reimbursements for building, fixture, and fittings. So they've not yet agreed on inventory, right? So they are paying you for the damage cost to the building. They're paying you for the fixtures and fittings being damaged at your largest distribution center. They have agreed to that. So at least we're not doing anything on that. Agreed a settlement. So they've already agreed a settlement with Udon company. So that's good on the side of the tangible assets, the non-current assets. However, there is an outstanding claim for business interruption. So there is some, the insurance company has not yet agreed with you on the loss arising from the business interruption, because it's been 2 months since the distribution center is destroyed, and you're going in the phase of a business interruption since 2 months till the time this distribution center comes back in the working condition. So there is an outstanding claim for the business interruption, and this is important. So one claim is settled, at least you are on the same grounds with the insurance company. They're willing to pay you, but there is an open case for the business interruption. Unlike buildings and tangible assets, insurance, which only covers physical damage, business interruption exists to cover the income a business would have received had the incident not happened. So the business interruption exists to cover the income which you would have generated had there been no flood. So it's been 2 months since the flood took place, and that has destroyed your distribution center. So what income have you lost in 2 months? If there had been no floods, what income you would have generated in the last 2 months? Now that's more like a prospective financial information. That's more like looking into the future, that had the flood not taken place, how much income would I have generated in the last 2 months? So I need to do that sort of a forecasting, sort of prospective financial information, that what could have been the sale in the month 1, what could have been the sale in the month 2, and what income have I lost in these 2 months. That's what I need to present to the insurance company, and the insurance company would think about a reimbursement for a claim around business interruptions. Okay, so business interruption exists to cover the income from a business which would have received had the incident not happened. Udon company requires a forensic specialist to provide assurance on the financial impact of the Udon loss of profit due to the flood. So that's what they need you to do, that how much has been the loss of profit in the last 2 months. So if the flood would not have taken place, how much profit we would have generated. So that loss of profit is to be submitted to the insurance company for a claim. as calculated by the finance director. The finance director has already calculated that loss of profit, but we need to definitely, if you are making a procedure, we need to recalculate that loss because these are estimates of the finance director, which could be wrong. And we are giving assurance on this. So we need to be pretty skeptical here. So that loss has been determined. The finance director of UDON is keen to appoint a forensic specialist, definitely, because he needs to put this claim to the insurance company for a reimbursement that what is the loss of profit in the last 2 months. As soon as possible. He's very desperate about having this specialist as soon as possible to support UDON claim. So he wants the claim to be supported by a forensic investigator. He is proposing a 50% bonus to be paid to Soba and Company in addition to the fee if forensic assurance work on the insurance claim is completed within 2 months. So he's trying to bribe you. He's trying to induce you. He's saying that if you finish off this work in 2 weeks, so I can present the report to the insurance company. If you do so, I'll give you your fees, but also I'll give you a 50% bonus. So that's like a self-interest. That's like a gift and hospitality. That's like inducement. That's like a bribe to the auditor, that the auditor is motivated to work in the best interest of the finance director. So the finance director basically wants that whatever calculation he has done, the auditor just assure that calculation, and that calculation gets to the insurance company, and the insurance company reimburses it. But there is something where we need to be skeptical about. The last paragraph is putting the tone of the finance director. What I believe is that finance director is trying to give you a bribe in a form of a 50% bonus. That's like a gift in hospitality, and we know gifts and hospitalities are perceived as a bribe, so that you can work in the best interest of the finance director. Moreover, he's very desperate in appointing the forensic investigator as soon as possible to support his claim, supporting his claim. So if as Soba and Company, if that is also giving rise to an advocacy thread, because we know literal meaning of an advocacy thread is to promote the business interest. What is the business interest here? The business interest here is supporting the claim, which is the loss of profit, and submitting this claim to the insurance company. Now, that is basically the interest of the organization. They want the claim to be reimbursed. So as part of your forensic investigation service, you're also giving rise to an advocacy thread. And we know in forensic investigation services, advocacy is a very routine part of it, because you're promoting the interest of the company by conducting this forensic investigation, and that is permissible. But the only thing which is of a question mark here is the 50% bonus, which is a self-interest. We need to take a safeguard for that. And in terms of the advocacy, we need to do our independent assessment of the loss of profit. We are not just assuring the loss of profit calculated by the finance director. We are also doing our independent working around it. But you need to write advocacy threat as an issue. You need to write self-interest as an issue before you write the relevant safeguards to them. So that is the scenario. So at least we have competence as Soba and Company. We have a forensic investigation department. I've already copied that point on my word processor. Apart from that, we got some unusual things in the scenario. First of all, 2 months ago, there was a damage. So 2 months ago, there was a flood, and the flood caused the damage. And so we need to estimate the loss of profit had the flood not taken place. So I think we are estimating the loss of profit for the last 2 months. We're assuming we are standing today, and from today in the last 2 months, the flood has taken place. So we're just doing some estimation of how much income we could have derived had the flood not taken place. So 2 months ago, flood damage, and we need to do the estimation of the income loss. So that's more like something like prospective financial information, more of estimates, more of uncertainty. So as Soba, I need to be very concerned about this. This is my scope, basically, right? Because ethical and professional issues I should consider. So when I go to this investigation, my scope is to do an independent assessment of the loss of profit. And in that case, I need to be involved in a greater degree of uncertainty and subjectivity, which I need to be thoughtful of. So I think this is what can come under my scope of work, which I have to do in 2 months. Scope of work that I need to determine how much has been the loss of profit in the last 2 months. Moreover, there was a specific deadline given to me that I need to finish work in 2 weeks. There was a specific self-interest issue which I got from the case, which was a 50% bonus. I also got that there was some sort of an advocacy I got from the case, which was basically the line here. The finance director is keen to appoint a forensic specialist as soon as possible to support UDON claim. So supporting the UDON claim will give rise to an advocacy threat. But if I do my independent assessment of the claim, if I do my independent working, and I just don't rely on the working of the finance director, I can compare my working with the finance director working to see how much is the difference coming in my assessment and his assessment, then that is a very good action against this advocacy. But if I just go for this investigation and I just fetch the 50% bonus and I just give an assurance, a blind assurance on the working of the finance director, that would technically be wrong. So there is an advocacy threat if I support the claim of the finance director. Self-interest, deadlines, my scope of work that I need to estimate the amount of profit lost in the last 2 months. Also, I need to estimate for that loss inventory damage, because because that would also be part of the estimation of the income lost. How much damage has been done to the inventory? Have I lost the entire inventory at the warehouse, at the distribution center? And the loss coming out of that inventory would also be part of my business interruptions, because I could not sell that inventory anymore. So I need to take that loss into my business interruptions as well. So I think this is some sort of things I've got from this case. We need to write a safeguard for self-interest, advocacy threat. We need to say that okay, apart from that, there are some journal things you need to consider before you accept the forensic investigation service. You need to ensure that the management and you are on one track on the assurance level, the type of report the management need at the end of the day. Your scope is important, which you should agree. Your fees is important. Already the management is giving you 50% bonus with the fee. So you need to make management very clear that it should be a predetermined fees, no bonuses. You need to give us a fixed fee. We agree the fixed fee, and then you move on accepting this engagement. But if the management says, no, you still have to do work on my condition, probably you should conclude that I'm not accepting upon this engagement. But currently what I see from the picture above, we can take safeguards for self-interest. We can agree with management that you give me a fixed fee. Management agrees to you. 2 weeks, fine. We need to build upon our resources. Deadline 2 weeks. So we need to think upon our resources. We need to have a size of the team to match work to be performed in 2 weeks' time. So at least I can take my resources and overcome the time limitation. So in conclusion, my conclusion would be to accept the engagement with proper safeguards around the 50% bonus, which we will be taking definitely. And the second is about the deadlines. So if I can overcome the restriction of deadline with the building my resources, taking a big size of the team just to get work done as quickly as possible. My scope is a bit complex because I need to do the estimation of the income loss in 2 months. So that's more like a complex working. So for that reason, I need to have more senior staff into my team. We have a forensic investigation department that's just supporting the right competence. So some sort of these things are coming from the exhibit number 2. We'll see the student answer, how the student has worked around this area. Okay, just let's go down and see the student answer for this. Okay, you could now see on the screen the script number 1 for question number 2. We will be dealing with the part A later, which is about ISQM1, but we're looking into the part B currently, which is about accepting the forensic investigation service. Now see, the student went well. He put the heading professional competence as the first one. And he talked about that we do have competence. Then he put a client due diligence. He's telling that because UDON is not an existing client of our firm, so in that case, we need to do a broader investigation to understand some knowledge about UDON before accepting UDON as our forensic investigation client. He talked about fees. He talked about that the fees should be based upon how much resources we are taking to the client to finish off things within the 2 weeks' time. And the fees should be built upon the seniority of the staff we are taking in and the complexity of the work we are performing in. But he didn't link the fees with the factor that the management was telling to us that there is a fee plus a bonus. So there was already a fee, but that fees needs to be built up upon the factors the student have mentioned in the paragraph. That's perfectly right. But at least he should have given a connection to the fact that the finance director is telling us that there will be a fee with a bonus. But what should be the basis of the fees? That is very rightly discussed by the student in this paragraph. Then the deadlines, he mentioned about the 2 weeks in the deadline. He mentioned about that how would we wrap up things in the 2 weeks time. Deadlines could be a pressure tactics as well. It could bring us into intimidation as well. Probably the management is giving us a tight deadline to impair the quality of our work. That could also be written as a professional factor, because tight deadlines are either used to intimidate the auditor, pressurize the auditor for a favorable outcome. So auditor does not exercise a due care. I think that is a very valid point. You could write, just let me go back to my my word processor. Deadlines to finish off work in 2 weeks. You can think about a lot of factors over here. A possible impairment of quality. If we rush to finish work, compromise due care, and probably that's what the finance director is looking for, that you compromise the due care and you support the working of the finance director. And it could possibly be an intimidation tactics being used by the finance director, possible intimidation tactics being used by the finance director just to get the outcome he is looking for, a favorable outcome supporting his claim. He just don't want you to do an independent working. He just want the working of the director being used, assured, and given to the insurance company for a quick reimbursement. So a lot of points can come down here, and every point is separate here, right? Intimidation could be 1 extra mark. Compromised due care could be 1 extra mark. Possible impairment of quality is 1 extra mark. So every point you're raising is giving you 1 mark here. Okay, just let's get back to the student script we were looking for. Okay, he wrote about the deadlines, and then he wrote about the proposed additional bonus. He wrote about that the proposed additional bonus will create a self-interest threat. So he's very rightly on that. He quoted the 50% bonus here, and he did write about that how would this compromise the quality. He did write about the deadlines here as well. But you need to use the student answer in a capacity that this is a student answer. There will be mistakes, there will be issues, but the student answer is only discussed and shared with you as just a guidance. But you need to develop your own answer based upon what I am discussing with you, along with the student answer. What am I writing in the word processor? That all will go down in you formulating the right answer. Because by the time you watch this mock debrief, you must have attempted the mock yourself. That's the purpose of the mock debrief, right? It's not to be watched before but after. So the good thing I liked about the student answer, at least he gave headings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And under those 5 headings, he discussed several points. This is a good structure of the answer, headings and paragraph. This is what I always tell my student, even when I'm checking the assignments and I'm responding to emails, I do tell student headings, paragraph, because this is an ideal way to present a good answer. Then under every heading, you can break a paragraph. Suppose you're writing 3 points under a heading: intimidation, compromise quality, the due care will go down. You can use 3 paragraphs under deadlines to show that I'm writing 3 points under deadline. So the examining team can reward you 3 marks there. Okay, he didn't give a conclusion, right? So the conclusion is missing here. So we can just put a cross here, and we can just put a text block here as well. No conclusion given. No conclusion given. So you compromised your professional skill marks because you didn't exercise a judgment. Are we accepting or not? The question was asking you to evaluate. No judgment exercised. The formatting was good. There could be some issues within what he wrote, but you just need to compare that with what I was discussing with you when I was going over the UDAwn scenario. Okay, just let's look at the second student answer in front of your screen. Now, this is a script number 2. We're going down to the B part. This student again started well with the headings. He put the heading of a finance director, and he mentioned the point here in the finance director that he's very keen to appoint us as a forensic investigation, and he just want us to make him happy. If you're not making him happy, he would not be liking us anymore as a forensic investigator. So I think he raised the point in a bit different manner, but my perspective about that was advocacy. The finance director wants the audit team to promote him, to promote his interest. There was something skeptical about his attitude in the last paragraph, his tone in the last paragraph, keen to appoint, and then he was saying, supporting my claim. So there was something fishy around those particular statements. He talked about the 50% bonus here. He talked about insurance claim to be completed within 2 weeks, that deadlines. He is talking about the level of assurance. Probably he just wrote like 1, 2, 3, 4 headings because the student was doing the answer within time management. So probably the student was running out of time. So he's just trying to wrap up things quickly. So just 4 headings, not a very depthful answer as compared to the script 1. Script 1 has more points than script 2, but at least a good thing both students are doing, they're taking those headings and building paragraphs around that. But yes, time management can compromise the quality of your answer in an exam, because if you're running out of time, you might just not do justice with the entire 8 marks. Probably he's just writing 50% of the answer just within the time pressures and going over it. Okay, just let's go back and think over what we were discussing from the second exhibit then. Just let me take on. Again, no conclusion was given by the second student as well. So at least that is something broadly missing. And that's what I'm telling you in my word processor, at least, that see how I picked my points. We read through the case, we built up our perspective around the case. We thought about some fishy statements, some unusual statements coming by the finance director in the last paragraph. And at least I told you that we need to write a conclusion at the end of the day, that if we are accepting, we're accepting on some conditions. So I hope this can help you build up a better answer. Okay, now just let's open the second exhibit. We need to make procedures on the methods given in the second exhibit. So you open up the second exhibit, which is about the Remen company. And in the case of the Remen company, there are 2 methods given to us. You can see that, method 1 and method 2. You just need to go down and make procedures, 6 of them. Just let's quickly read through this particular exhibit. It tells us that you have been contacted by Seth Williams, a financial controller of Remen. Seth is concerned about a number of recent transactions and would like to engage your firm to investigate a potential fraud. Remen company is not currently an audit client of your firm, so we're not worried about that. It is assuming we have accepted the engagement. We're just making procedures. 2, from date. So Seth Williams the financial controller is writing an email to the audit firm Soba and Company, and he's concerned about something happening in the company, and he wants you to make procedures on that. He writes an email. Hello, I've contacted you concerning some discrepancies here at Remin. Number one, a piece of land was sold for $2.8 million. So this first issue is a piece of land, and we have to make like 3 procedures on piece of land. In April 20X5, so a piece of land was sold. However, during a recent review of Remin Company bank statement, I saw 2 entries relating to this transaction: a receipt of $2.6 million and a further $200,000 received in the same week, which was immediately transferred to an unidentified bank account with the reference consultancy next to it. So you sold a piece of land, and you need to get $2.8 million against that selling. You got $2.6 million as a receipt and a further $200,000 received in the same week which was immediately transferred to an unidentified bank account. So we need to investigate that who is operating that unidentified bank account, who is responsible for opening bank accounts in the organization, who have check and balance on this opening process. We need to verify the receipt in the bank statement, because 2.6 million immediately came into the bank statement, and even the 200,000 came in the bank statement, but then was later transferred to an unidentified account. So we need to see which unidentified account it has gone to, who is operating it, who is controlling it, who is responsible for the authorization process of this unidentified account, because that person could also be involved in some sort of this unusual activity going in here. A second issue is, in a separate transaction, the use of the warehouse owned by a Remin Company was leased to a storage company. So a warehouse owned by Remin was leased to a storage company. So that's the issue number 2, where you need to make procedures. After inspecting the lease agreement, I discovered that the agreed monthly lease terms was $10,000 plus an additional $1,500 per month as a management fees. The $10,000 monthly lease payments have been traced to the bank statement. However, I was unable to trace the management fees of $1,500. When I questioned Bess, the finance director, she said it was paid into the company's other bank account. All the documentation relating to the other bank account is held by Bess. So there is some sort of issues with Bess here, because Seth William, the financial controller, when he questioned Bess Bell, the finance director, he said that this $1,500 has gone to another bank account, and all the documentation relating to that other bank account is held by Bess. So you need to question Bess, you need to investigate Bess, you need to inquire Bess, you need to get hold of this other bank account, the details of this other bank account, who opened it, who authorized it, and you need to see the transactions which are going to this other bank account could possibly be this account, which has been used in the point number 1 above. $200,000 was transferred to an unidentified bank account. So probably there is something going behind the scenes in this company, some suspicious accounts being opened. Who is using them? Who is monitoring them? Who is authorizing them? Because the suspicious bank account is creating a risk that the money is being going somewhere else. And you need to be a bit skeptical about this investigation, because in forensic investigation, you can discuss with Bess, you can have an interview with Bess, you can just investigate the reasonings from Bess as an individual. Okay, the last paragraph. Additional bank accounts can only be opened with a formal approval. So we need to see who formally authorized the approval, and one of the non-executive director. So a formal approval plus one non-executive directors have to approve it. We can also discuss with the non-executive director that, have you ever given an approval of the account which Bess is talking about? We can also bring a discussion around the non-executive director as well, because he's also one of the individual who authorized the process of opening the bank account. The finance director claimed that an additional bank account has been established many years ago. However, several other members and management team has also confirmed that they have no knowledge of this bank account. So there is some issue going on. The people are unaware of this bank account, even though Bess is saying this account was opened many years ago. We know the formal process of the bank account opening, who authorized the bank account opening. So we need to investigate every possible person around it just to get hold of this bank account and who is controlling it, who is making use of this money. Given the nature of this concern, I would like to perform forensic investigation as quickly as possible. So you need to make procedures around 1 and 2. 6 is not a big deal. Let's see what students have done here. Let me show you the student answers. Okay, you can see the student 1 answer first. For this, he put this under 2 headings. Very good. Sale of land and leases. He wrote way too many procedures, just need 6. Under sale of land, he put 2 procedures. He wrote review the sale agreement of the land to confirm the following, that land was under the ownership of Remen, to confirm the rights and obligation. The sale price of the land, it should be matching with $2.8 million, and the date of sale, any other conditions relating to the payments. He just want to review the sale agreement just to ensure the price at which it was sold, to confirm the $2.8 million and to confirm the ownership of this land which was sold. Inspect the bank statement to confirm the transactions was credited into the bank account, 2.6 million and 200,000. Discuss with the management the appropriate individual related to the relevancy of the unidentified bank account in which the funds was transferred. So he's trying to discuss with the management who authorized the opening process, who authorized account opening in the organization. Discuss with the appropriate individual with the Remen company whether they have received any consultancy services to whom the funds were transferred to 2.8 million. Seek the consultancy documents if services required as evidence. So 200,000 was marked as consultancy. Is there any document which can show that we have given some consultancy service to anyone? Because auditor wants to have a proof of every transaction. So $200,000, what's the source of it? What's the evidence underlying it? Then he wrote some procedures around leases. He wrote almost like 3 and 3, 6 into 8 procedures around leases. You just need 3. 3 under lease, 3 under sale of land. You can even write 2 under sale of land and 4 under leases. You need to make a total of 6, right? It should not be 0 under any heading. You can write less and more, but he almost wrote way too many procedures. So you can just go through, read his procedure, whichever makes sense, you can just try to use that out. But the good thing I like about his procedure is he's starting affirmatively with those verbs: review, inspect, discuss. The length of the procedure is very good. That's how you write the procedures. I've seen some student writing procedures in like a para form, which is not the case. This is a very good way of writing procedure. Now, some of them can be right and wrong. That's something you can investigate later. I'm going to just quickly looking at the part A of the answer. Before I look at the student answers, we just go back to the practice platform. Okay, now in the part A, we need not to use any exhibits, but we're just referring to the knowledge of ISQM1. I'm just taking hold of the requirement. This is 1 and 2. We just need to tell that how these 2 areas would build up quality and restore public confidence. And we just have 6 marks. So we go to the word processor. And I'll write my A answer before. So this is my A answer. How the following factors from ISQM1 restore public confidence and boost audit quality. Boost audit quality. And we have 2 things to write here: acceptance, and number 2 is firm-wide policies, firm-wide culture, and a system of quality management. I'll just be giving you some brainstorming points here, and you can build upon the answer. Now, we know when we are accepting and continuing a client engagement, Acceptance is an important parameter and with continuation, right? When we are accepting a client, first of all, we are conducting a client screening. We're conducting know your client procedures that helps the audit firm not to take over a risky client, a bad client, because the firm is very much concerned about its repute, about its goodwill, and the market standing. So the first thing you can mention here that in acceptance, the very first thing we need to focus on is the client integrity check. The client integrity check, also known as know your client procedures. And know your client procedures is part of the ISQM1 that you need to perform them thoroughly, because you don't want to take on a client which is risky, bad, because that can affect the repute of the firm, right? Thoroughly to mitigate risk of taking on a risky client. Number two, in acceptance and continuation, you're also doing the screening of the firm, and that's where the boosting of quality and restoring public confidence comes in. You look at the audit firm. You look at the audit firm competence. You look at the audit firm experience. You look at the audit firm independence before you decide whether I can offer this, I can take on this engagement or not. You know, there is this check is important, matters before accepting an engagement or matters before accepting a new audit client. It's not just you're screening the client, you're also screening yourself. So are you competent? Are you experienced? Are you independent? Do you have resources? These are all the limiting factors, right? If they are present, you can take on it. Now, if you have competence, if you have experience, if you have independence, if you have resources, definitely it will boost quality of the service you're offering, of the engagement you're offering, boost quality of the engagement. If you don't have and you're taking on it, you're compromising the quality. So if you're competent, if you're independent, if you're experienced, and you're taking on an engagement, it's also restoring the public confidence because you will be exercising due care, you will be skeptical, you will be drilling everything very rightly. So when you issue a report, the public will trust on that report because you were good enough to take on this engagement. So boost quality of the engagement, and definitely if the engagement is done with right client checks, and the checks on the audit firms. The checks on the audit firm in the point number 2, right, will result in quality boost and the public confidence, because at the end of the day, the report will be issued public and public confidence, because the detection risk will go down, your quality will boost up, detection risk will go down if you are doing this checks before accepting on the engagement will go. Due care will improve, skeptical mindset will improve, you will get hold of the knowledge of the business, which will really be helping you in the audit, etc. So how acceptance and how continuation at the end of the day will boost the audit quality and will boost the public confidence in this profession. So you know the acceptance parameter, right? That what we do in matters before accepting engagement. Now, those matters are primarily important. If we just not use them and we accept on the engagement, then at the end of the day, we're just compromising the quality. I hope you know that common sense relationship. Even continuation, right? This process is to be repeated each year, even when continuation with clients, because factors can change over a year. So factors can change. So this is like an ongoing assessment, and this ongoing assessment keeps you on the quality track and keeps you on the quality parameter. Secondly, is the firm-wide culture. We know that firm-wide culture is important because the firm-wide culture means it's the tone from the top. It's basically the leadership responsibilities, which is coming in the firm-wide culture. that leadership is responsible to set up a culture of quality. Tone from the top, leadership responsibility to set up a culture of quality. Because if the culture of quality is set from the top, it will prevail in the whole firm. More important, the firm-wide culture should means that quality should take precedence over commercial interest. So this is important, right? We have already covered this in my lectures on ISQM1 that the culture should be that quality is more important than commercial interest. It's not like the that UDON was giving me 50% bonus, and I just accept the 50% bonus and fulfill the wish of the finance director. That's compromising the quality. If he was giving me 50% bonus, I should tell him that I cannot take this. This will compromise my quality. That's where quality should take more precedence over the commercial interest. More importantly, implementation of the system of SOQM, which is given in ISQM1, implementation of the system of quality management, proper monitoring, not just the implementation, the proper monitoring of it. Proper monitoring, there are terms like engagement quality reviewer, that is very important. Proper monitoring to boost overall quality culture in firm. Now, if the quality culture in firm is good, that will definitely boost the overall quality of whatever you're doing, and the public confidence will restore. They know this is a good firm. They are very careful about their procedures and policies. They stick to their policies and procedures, and that's where the public confidence would start restoring in. So you just need to write about a total of 6 points. You can write 3 under acceptance, 3 under firm-wide culture. You can just start to write the points this way, that the following points will help boost audit quality and restore public confidence. And then you can start writing the points instead of writing after every point that this will help boost quality or restore public confidence. You can write that statement above that the following points will help boost the audit quality and restore public confidence, something like this. The following factors, the following matters, or the following points will boost audit quality and restore public confidence. And then you can start writing 3 points under acceptance and 3 points under firm-wide culture. So you can just wrap up the answer. Just do the final assessment. Let's look at the student answer here. Some of them were very worthy as well. But particularly, I liked the script 1. Okay, script 1 is in front of your screen. See how the student broken this down into 2 parts: acceptance and continuation of the client engagement, heading number 1, and firm-wide culture, heading number 2. And he's writing 3 good paragraphs here. So those are 3 good marks. And then he's writing under the firm-wide culture 1 paragraph only, but there could be several points within that. But at least he took the right approach of putting those 2 headings, splitting down the paragraphs, and that goes down. I'm just reading his paragraph on the firm-wide culture. Let's just see what he wrote. The firm should develop and implement such system of culture of honesty and that quality and the quality management within the firm that the members of the audit firm should follow. That could help in the overall quality of the audit performance. The skeptical mindset of the auditor during the engagement and judgments made during the audit should be free from management bias and could help audit firm to boost their reputation by following a wide culture of quality while performing the audit, so on and so forth. So he's talking about that the firm should be implementing a system of quality. They should be concerned about the reputation and everything. I've given you my points as well. You can have your own points as well. It's just a knowledge factor, so we can have a very diversified answer. The student answer, my answer, your answer. It will all be diversified. But you just need to write about how culture can boost quality and how acceptance can boost quality. That's as simple as that. You're writing it. I'll be putting these answers on the portal. You can just read through it. You can agree with some points or disagree with some points, because these are again student perspective. I'll be uploading the examiner answer as well for the mock, but again, they're very lengthy. They're telling you stories and stories on ISQM1. You just need to have 6 points. The best thing what you can do from the examiner answer is, and let me show you that. When you go to the examiner answer, there is a marking scheme given. What you can do is you can just see the points in the marking scheme. See, examining team marking scheme, they're telling journal comments on ISQM1 up to 1 mark. And then they're putting the heading acceptance and continuation of client relationship up to 3 marks. Robust acceptance and continuation process. Example, more client risk assessment, what I discussed with you. Not just a client identification, but also ethics, behavior, and reputation of the company. Existing client, new information can come for existing clients. So every time you have to repeat it. So these are more the same points I was discussing with you on my word processor. Firm-wide culture, up to 4 marks. You have to have 3 under each. Leadership at the firm level, not engagement level. So at the firm level, we should have a leadership. Firm-wide commitment to quality. Culture, tone at the top. I discussed that point with you. The tone at the top, reward quality, not profit. I discussed that with you. So they're giving you so many points in the marking scheme. You can choose any 6 and write upon. Then they're giving you points about UDON. You can see those points for the B requirement, UDON here. And then they've given you some procedures for Raman. They've given you some procedures here for Raman. They're just given thought process. You need to complete these procedures. But the difference between looking at the marking scheme and the answer is that in the marking scheme, they just give you the pointers to tell you that these had been the pointers, which could had been in your answer. But they're not telling that if you have a pointer which is not here, you are wrong, because you can have a different answer from the examiner. Examiner just saying that these are an ideal number of points here. You can choose any one to write upon. So just check yourself with examiner pointers given in the marking scheme rather than reading down the full answer. And you can just say, okay, this pointer written is almost matching with my point, or this pointer written is almost matching my point, and so on and so forth. See this, just one student script we checked. Inspect the sale agreement to confirm the value of sale. Even that student wrote it, right? Confirm the approval of the bank account, who opens the new bank account, who approves the new bank account. So we can have points like that. Tracing payments to the bank statement. More or less these points were written in the script number 1. Inquiring from Best Bill, who approved the additional bank accounts. That was when I was discussing the scenario, I did discuss this point with you. So you can make use of that as well, right? Okay, so I'm just ending with the question 2 debrief. I hope you liked it. A knowledge stuff around ISQM1, where we could have so many diversified answers. It's just about how you track those 2 parameters and wind it up. Procedures, again, we can have diversified procedures between so many students. And then we had a part of ethical and professional issues. Take care. Goodbye and Allah Hafiz.